No worries, mate.
Cool. All right. Here we go. And we are just about done. And how exciting is this? So, and we are here tonight on Tuesday Night Live with director, founder, Big Dog, the voice and the reasoning behind Knights of Suburbia. And obviously, thought it'd be great to have Russell Lee with us to cap off what has been an amazing 5 days. And obviously the lead up in terms of the messaging and the connection. And a lot of people have been for our big ride with me event, but to finish it off. And I think Russ, just before we get you in, mate, it's and I'm going to have a quick look in Death by Refresh. I think we're about to tick over the $300,000 mark in fundraising. So it's $2,999 and $939. So it's and it's amazing. And I've said it many times. The response from everybody involved has been amazing. But welcome, Russell.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, thank you. It's been incredible, mate. It's certainly been the last 5 days. I can't believe the response that we got, not just from people in Australia. We know that there's obviously people that are registered and participated overseas as well. Korea, America, I think New Zealand, maybe India as well. So to think that back in sort of June, July, we thought that this wouldn't go ahead, and then it turned it into something that had over 600 participants was just incredible. So it's an amazing effort by all to raise that amount of money, which is going to go towards creating awareness for mental health. It's just insane. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, and you said all the international participants that we've had, and is those countries you mentioned, and there's been a few through the Ireland and England, as well as there. So it is, and all across Australia. And I think that the beauty of the event as we come across, and when we had our initial discussions about it, was a bit like, this is not going to this could happen. This could be something. It could be just we thought possibly 100 people register and making an event, which is going to be an impacting event as it was with that amount of people. But as I said, to have 600 people has just been through the roof. And you just said the amount of stories that have been shared from people that have been directly impacted on their mental health journey, which leads us back to why you and Dave Rigney, the original starting, going on 5-6 years ago, starting the organisation from what it was to what it is now, is that very personal connection that you both have had in the mental health sector. So
Yeah, definitely.
you talk about, obviously, you and Russ, you and Riggers, quite very good friends. You're up there with best mates, and as you said, been on this journey with us at Love Me Love You since back in the start of 2015, and when we first come about the idea of having our first Ride With Me event,
Yep.
which was, I told you, good luck, enjoy, organise, do whatever you need to do, because you'll never get me in Lycra, Russ, is
Yep.
what I always said.
Right.
And look at us now. So it's but that first event, Warrnambool to Melbourne.
Yep. Oh, look, that's probably still my favourite. I think I think 5-6 years ago, David and I sort of kicked Knights of Suburbia off, I think 2014 or 15, and quickly thought that the partnership with Love Me Love You really made sense. And we both had a connection or had experiences with people that we know with mental health illness. And it just made sense. And I think that's certainly set the foundation for Knights of Suburbia and the growth that we've seen over the last 5 to 6 years. It's one of the biggest drivers. We've got such a great community now, and going back 5 years ago when we had that first ride, I think there was about 30 people that set off on the V line train there to Warrnambool, and then rode 3 days back into Melbourne. It was an amazing event, and you look at that 5 years ago with 30 people, and you look at what we've achieved over the weekend with over 600 people. I think it's safe to say that this COVID period, we didn't know what it was going to throw up, but I think what I've seen over the last 5 days, within our group and the social media with photos and people getting around it, and the groups that were created in different states, and the fundraising that's gone on, and the people just really feeling included, and this, this is really inclusive. It's just been incredible. I was out on the road on Saturday, and I honestly have never seen as many Knights of Suburbia / Love Me, Love You, Ride With Me participants in one ride, out to the boulevard and then back out towards Strathfield. And I reckon I would have seen close to 150 people on the road in the kit, and it certainly started conversation. I was with my little crew today out north, and one of the guys that sort of head up to Humevale after I left them in the mid-morning, he got stopped by a lady at the top of Humevale, and she saw the jersey, and she actually saw the article in the newspaper today, and she actually started talking to him, and that's what it's all about, and that's how it's grown. That's how we've grown, and it started through conversations, and we get stopped in cafes at set of lights. The same thing's happened over the last 5 days, and it's just evident by the social media that we've seen over the last 5 days with the engagement, the people getting involved. It's just been insane. So I really thank you to all the people that have been involved. It really means a lot, and I think this has shown us what we can achieve moving forward. So I dare say that moving forward, we'll probably change the way we think about holding this event with you guys, because I think this has been probably the best one that we've had.
Yeah, in terms of the response and the participation level, most definitely. But you said the very connection of, have you seen in people being accessing their own little groups across the world, because that's what it's been doing, and that very human connection that we do still thrive off is the reason why we do, the reason why you guys do Knights of Suburbia, because it's creating that community, and the reason why we do Love Me, Love You. It's creating that community and that very connection that we all need. But as you said, it's proven to be it's a bit of outside the box, where we're going with, even in business, how we're dealing and how we're operating and how we're actually connecting into society and how we go about things. I think it's actually been a really good sort of test case to see how we can move forward as an organisation, because, as the amount of bunch rides and group rides and meetups and all that sort of stuff that are happening across the country and across the world with the Knights of Suburbia crew, because you can't be everywhere and you can't be everything to everyone, but everyone that's playing their role and connecting in, I think is what's creating such a positive movement around this space, and it's it is amazing to watch and to see, most definitely.
Yeah,
and you've got me in Lycra, Russ.
Yeah, it took us a while. It took us
a while.
Yep.
Took a little while. Probably not built for road Lycra, but we're working through that at the moment. We're working through that, but
I was just about to say, it took us 5 years, but I knew once you started that you would probably get the bug, because I've got I've got a lot of ex-footy teammates that I ride with now that I used to play football with, and obviously you're one of them. And there hasn't been one person that started riding over the last 5 or 6 years to sort of join the crew that hasn't not continued. And so it's I know I certainly do it. I do it for the camaraderie. I sort of miss the mateship through football, and obviously the fitness thing, but and obviously getting out. Kim knows if I haven't been able to get out for a ride, because on the weekends, if I miss a ride, she'll know by mid morning that's from a mental perspective I really need it, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there that need it as well. So it's something that we can do for a long time. I'm hoping that I can continue riding well into my 60s and 70s.
Yeah, well, hopefully. And be that cue, that classic, the mammal rocking it out, mate, with and all the gear and no idea at that stage how you're going about it. But it's but obviously you started the movement of getting into it was firstly to crit racing to get some fitness, because you talk about footy there and the very idea of trying to get some fitness base. Because and that's how you started, and from where it was, because it was just footy blokes. They couldn't really run, or couldn't feel like they were able to run anymore, and they got into the cycling there. And there was a few into it, so it's amazing to see where you think about that's the very origins of how this has all started, from a place where it's a bit like, is this where we wanted it to be? At that time, and it probably wasn't. You probably weren't thinking at that stage at the time, but. but we are ex teammates, and junior footy teammates, from way back in the day, mate. And that trusty left foot, coming down on a wing half back, just floating along. And I got told the other day that one of the fastest footballers to ever come out of the Northern Footy League. Is that correct, mate? I thought you were a plotter.
I wasn't a plotter, but I certainly wasn't the fastest. Those were the days. They're distant memories now, mate. I think when we played together, we were about 15 years old. So that's almost 25 years old now. That's just crazy to think. We're certainly getting old.
Crazy
to worry.
And I think it's I haven't. But it was an experience. You talk about the very camaraderie that being a part of a footy club or any sort of sports club is, and obviously from our experience being in footy, that the relationships that you've built, the relationships that you have forever, and you don't have to have seen people every single day to continue those relationships. And I think that what you guys have been able to do in terms of building that culture around with the Knights of Suburbia has taken that very camaraderie and that very experience, because there is the banter, there is all the crap that goes with it, there is the performance, there is the sort of expectations of getting on top. You got to have the matchy kit, you got to hold all these things that are happening, the latest gear, but that very idea that when you go in the trenches, the trenches could be those hills that you're there together, or away from cycling, that you're actually just having the very conversations that are. That we all need to be having. So
yeah, no, definitely, mate. There's no doubt that that this has taken over football, and as I said, I think for people that don't know, David and I 5-6 years ago, we actually before there was Knights of Suburbia, there was FTC, footballers turned cyclists, and we sort of created what probably looks like a pretty ordinary kit now, but we created a kit 5-6 years ago and called ourselves FTC, and there was about probably 10 of us that, ex-footballers that were just rolling around the streets of the northern suburbs, not really knowing what we were doing. And then we just, we started to race crits, and we raced crits for that competitive, nature of what we used to do to compete in football. And from that, we designed a kit and come up with a name. And the rest is history. We certainly never thought that it would get to the level that it has now, and to see the impact that it's had on so many people's lives. You mentioned before about groups and camaraderie. What I'm just amazed with is the amount of groups, because KOS is the overarching group, but within KOS, we've got close to 1,800 members now within our closed group, and to see the groups that we've got in regions around Australia, in Queensland, in New South Wales, in Perth now, in Adelaide. And we get messages and emails all the time from people wanting to start things up in their state. We were on a call last week with someone from Europe, and we had another email from someone from Europe over the weekend, wanting to find out more, just because they want to know what this is all about. And so it's just continued to spiral to where it is today, and it's just blown riggers and myself away, and obviously everyone else that's been involved, and especially people that have been here from the start. There's a number of people that have been involved within Knights of Suburbia from day one, or pretty much from day one, and those people are still on board now. And I can't really name them all because we'd be here for the next hour, but they know who they are, and it's just incredible.
And it is, as you said, one is the very connection of community that is the driving message behind it all, and obviously an underlying cause around mental health awareness that is created from that. And the kits are pretty cool, I must admit, and it probably has come a long way from the FTC, the original design, and obviously the crew are very lucky once with everyone's input, but the team of Andrew O'Keefe doing amazing work from Studio Alto in that space, because it is the very conversation starter that we all that everyone has. So
that was the plan. That was certainly the plan when we when Andrew and David put their heads together and designed kits. We want to stand out amongst the crowd and start the conversation. As I said before, it's quite often that you get sort of pulled over at a set of traffic lights or at a cafe, and that's how we get a lot of our not just the followers, but the people that are involved, the people that seek us out through our website and through social media to try and get involved. That's probably one of the biggest parts, other than obviously the connection that we have with you guys as well. So
Yeah, and as you said, that never alone messaging is a huge part of how that all connects, and that very idea. And as I said, we did that thing on the Super Crit back on the bibs last year, and I see that message a lot from through the social media, and the message from that about even when you're on your own, that you're never alone, and that's the idea. Yeah, and the idea is that when you're riding, you're walking, you're in stressful times, that isolation is the worst thing you can do, but you invest that in that support service and system around you and your support crew, even when you are isolated or by yourself, that you do feel supported and you do feel like you're a part of it. So, which I think is a huge thing. And I think that's great messaging that needs to keep continuing with the Knights and the Dames.
Definitely.
It's not a, and this is for people to know, it's not a what it was original and historically had been a male-dominated organisation or movement, but there's a high percentage of females integrating into the movement and becoming quite big leaders
Absolutely.
across the country in this space. So it's and everyone likes a cool kid, and we keep bringing it back. And everyone says to me, even people that aren't cyclists, oh, that's a cool kid. They're like, yep, cool. But I just tell them that it is man that make the clothes, not the clothes. As long as they're not looking at me nicks, we're all happy days. So, but mate, moving forward, as you know, the Knights of Suburbia, what's the plans? Where are we going? Well, what's happening?
Yeah, mate, that's a very good question. We get asked that all the time, and we got asked that probably a couple of years ago. Our member base has probably, in the first probably 3 or 4 years, it was doubling each year, and just over the last probably 12 to 18 months, it's just started to multiply. We get member requests every day, multiple member requests every day. And you mentioned before about the females. Our females that are now involved has spiraled out of control over the last 6 to 12 months, which is fantastic as well. I've seen a lot of photos from our dames that have been involved within the last 5 days within their groups. And it's just really good to see. We've got Mel Ward that looks after when we can ride in bunch groups, she looks after the Sunday bunchy out here in the north and does a fantastic job. Really inclusive ride. And got the likes of Olivia that managed our south side ride. I think she's sort of now living out more west. But look, we've got dames all over Australia now, and that'll continue to grow. And just to touch on the never alone wording, you'd be really surprised with the impact that this whole thing has on people. You mentioned before about when someone's alone, then they're actually not alone by being involved in this. And I've spoken to people that have been involved with KOS now for a couple of years, and it's funny because I can think of a guy in particular that I spoke with about 12 months ago, and you wouldn't believe he's never actually ridden with a Knights of Suburbia person before. He rides by himself. Yeah. He's involved in the closed group, but he's never actually met any Knights. Yeah. But the impact that he said that it's had on his life by just being involved in the community, being involved in the closed group, and just feeling a part of something has actually changed his life. And I got off the call with him 12 months ago, and I just sort of sat back and it sort of hit me. It really hit me what this is all about, and I'm sure that that's probably relevant for a lot of people. You don't necessarily need to be going out with 5-10 mates. Just being involved in it is enough for some, and the impact that that's having on some people's lives is just amazing. So
yeah, it is, and as you said, the very involvement of belonging, and this is the big messaging that we shoot through the whole time in Love Me Love You, is around that very belonging feeling. We all want to feel acknowledged. We all want to feel like we belong to something or to someone. And as you said, if it's just something like being a part of and saying that very idea when pulling on the kit and riding by yourself all the time. Like same thing for myself. Like I don't, there hasn't been too many times in this last 12 months since the last year's ride that I've ridden with other people, and obviously because it's been a bit harder, obviously COVID period, but even after the ride, I think I've been on the road twice with other people. But that it's just that very feeling where we need to pull on the kit. I still I'll pull on the the Never Alone jersey or the the Knights of Suburbia jersey when I go in the garage. I think I'm all pro, rocking it out, and I forget that I don't even have my fan on the Zwift, and then I'm sweating up a foot treat, and I don't really look too pro. I look a bit more amateur. Sorry, but I'm just as you can see, my backyard for the first time. Taking the experience in as opposed to I've been in that garage for the last 5 days, locked in, and I just needed to get out of there. But it is that very feeling of belonging that you talk about. And it's amazing, and that very conversation starter that it allows people to have. But obviously, world domination, global domination is what we're after. Is that right?
Yeah, look, we're certainly going global. I think last year, for the people that are involved or follow us, would probably be aware of the kit competition in the US that we got involved in. And I think we came third. I think we made the semi-finals and ended up losing to the eventual winner. Just that recognition and that I think it went on for about 2 weeks. I think just the exposure that we both got from that, both KOS and Love Me Love You got from that in America's biggest crit scene was pretty amazing. And it wasn't just people from America that sort of reached out to us from that competition. It was people from Europe, people from, as I said, India, Korea, New Zealand. So things like that certainly help. And we're not actively trying to go global. It just sort of happens organically through social media. It's amazing, the power of social media these days. So no doubt we'll continue to get more people involved overseas, and hopefully next year and the year after when we have this event again, my ambition is to have leaders in other countries. We've got leaders in states at the moment. Our leaders in other states do a fantastic job. They do it all for the love of the cause. So we're really lucky to have them. And I can see moving forward us having leaders overseas as well, hopefully in America and Europe, in Asia. It'll happen one day. It's just a matter of when.
As I said, organically letting us do its thing. You build it and people will come. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, as you said, staying true to your agenda and your values of the organisation. And I think that things will happen as they need to and when they deserve to, and it'll make it happen. So it's But mate, there's been talking about the ride and finishing off, because it's before, and I'll put in the comments about obviously getting onto the Knights of Suburbia website and have a look at the kits and getting involved. The Never Alone socks are also very cool messaging. There's been a new bundles and new kits just released, so people to be able to check that out. And so it's hold on, mate.
I lost you there for.
Hey, you're good.
I lost you there for about 20 seconds. That's all good now.
All good now. We're back. Sorry about that. It's but the idea. I'll put the website in the comments and make that happen so people can get involved with it. It's but it's obviously the ride. As I said, there were some amazing experiences and challenges set. Some huge targets. One that I'll mention was the 24 hours Zwift session. And I think there might have been more than one participant that did that, which is actually sitting on a bike for 24 hours in a row, thinking that it was a good idea. And I spoke to him about 4 a.m. on Saturday morning while he was going through that. And, just an amazing experience. Everything it's been through the roof. So it's all very exciting. What did you set yourself, mate?
Oh, look, I set myself, knowing that I had to work on the Monday. I think my target was about 300 kilometres, probably not as outlandish as some. But I think probably the biggest thing for us out north is probably the vert. So we did quite a bit of vert. Probably didn't do as much as some of the guys that I ride with. I had to pull up a little bit early today and had to work yesterday. But so some of the efforts from the guys, it was pretty hot today down in Melbourne. I think it was about 30 degrees. And some of the efforts from some of the guys. And, I've been sort of approving posts within our sort of closed group all weekend with people putting posts up about their individual and team efforts. And some of them are just incredible. So I just love the way that this weekend's panned out. As I said before, from going back, 4 or 5 months ago when this probably wasn't going to go ahead, and then obviously the hysteria of trying to get everything organised. As you would know, it's been pretty crazy the last couple of months making this happen. It's been incredible. So I'm sure that we'll probably see more videos and posts and photos of what people have achieved over the last few days. we'll continue to share them through our social media to recognise all the people that have been involved and the people that have given their time and obviously helped donate towards the cause. Has been incredible. So one guy I'd like to mention, Mark Favren, who obviously played footy with Fabi back at Heidelberg and back at the Northern Bull Ants, and he's gone through a pretty rough trot over the last probably 12 months. He's lost his mum, lost his dad, and he started riding about probably 5 or 6 months ago with us, and it's changed his life. I think he's raised Lance, I don't know, $5,000, $4,000.
Yeah, he's about that. Yeah, I think he's third on the leaderboard. So where is he at? 3,664.
Yeah,
which is third on the leaderboard, which is amazing.
It's amazing, and he's taken cycling like a duck to water. He's strong. He loves it. He's getting around the guys, and the guys are getting around him. He really got behind this cause because it's pretty close to him. And so yeah, I thought I'd just sort of throw a note out to Fabi.
Yeah, big Fab, mate. I've heard many a thing about his footy career, and obviously with you guys and your connection. But have him involved, as I said, it's having that place of belonging and feeling included in just general being for a lot of people is what it's all about. And it's been the number of, as I said, the number of people reaching ridiculous amounts of climbing, and the guys up in Queensland, I think they did about 750 Ks up over the weekend, which is, I think by far might be the most done. The climbing, I'm not too sure who might have got the most, and it's quite, as you said, and it's difficult because some people did a lot on their virtual trainer, and some did a lot out on the road. And myself, I spent 4 days in the garage on the trainer. Not 4 days, I had a lot of mornings. He said, because the sacrifices also being made, because people got to work and people got families and all those sorts of things, so the sacrifice around it. But having for myself that 1 day out on Sunday, out on the road, climbing and doing things and doing that sort of stuff, and just general enjoying, cycling, which was amazing. So, and I did reach my target, Russ. As you said, 12 months ago, you hadn't had me in Lycra. I bought the bike, got the bike 6 weeks before the Ride With Me event, and went through one of the most worst experiences of cycling you could ever do. This time 12 months ago, the fact that it was snowing, and to see what we had today in the last couple of days, as I said, high 20s, 30 degrees. But I had set myself a silly target for myself of that 500 Ks and 10,000 meters, and I just got there, and I thought I'd miscalculated. I was going through all my things when I thought I'd finished, and I thought I'd miscalculated by a bit, and I forgot to put one in, and it got me over the line. And so I was pumped, because the worst thing I could think of doing was actually jumping back on that bike and going for another 2 hours. Mate, it would have been the worst experience. But as you said, everyone achieved. There's some people that put themselves at a high, it wasn't just cyclists. People that just had a bike. And I think that was the best thing about this event. That it wasn't cyclists. It was the fact that people just had a bike and they wanted some movement, and they were doing, we had a friend of mine, Jackie, had her cruiser bike going up and down Beach Road and getting lost and doing all those sorts of things. And she got a personal best of riding in one time. I think it was like 37 kilometers. She never would have thought of to do that. And then the same thing with Alexander, my son, who, he'd set himself a target of 5 kilometers non-stop, and we did 6.4 kilometers today. To see that, I think that is the real beauty of what this event showed everyone.
For sure. I think, for the Melburnians that have done it tough over the last sort of few months, I think, and I'm sure it's probably evident Friday through to today because of the weather that we've had. But as I said, on Saturday when I was out there, the amount of riders that we went past that had the Never Alone, Love Me, Love You jersey on, and just, you did some of them I knew, and, I was able to give them away, but there was a lot I didn't. And I think just the connection, within the group, you just give them a high five or a wave as you're going past. There was a couple of ladies that I rode past on the bike trail in Eltham just as I was heading home on Saturday that were getting towards the end of their ride, and they were just happy as Larry doing their thing. And I'm sure that there was plenty of other people that were involved that rode past another group of participants over the last 4 or 5 days, and I think they'll all agree that you know, just going past and seeing someone else involved was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it is. It's amazing. So it's but as I said, there's a lot of follow-on that goes from this. It's not just the event to be left here. You know, people carrying this movement moving forward, both through the Knights of Suburbia and Love Me Love You, in creating more awareness, more education, more resource, more support to those people that just need a little bit of help. It's because we all go through challenges, we all go through the fight, and we all a lot of people suffer and live in silence and go through these challenges in silence, as opposed to actually what we know is best in terms of getting it out there. So it's but mate, hats off to you. As I said, there's a lot of work still to be done here. We'll collect information. There's award winners that will come through that from most rides, climbing, most creative, and I did see, which is pretty funny, and I didn't know you could possibly do it because I got no idea with technology, but people were actually doing on Strava pictures.
Yeah.
They're actually doing the routes on pictures and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
They had like the Kanye West logo, the Love Me LMLY logo. There was still things happening. It was amazing.
Cool.
To see that was really, really cool. I thought so. It's but as I said, we'll be in contact, and for those people that had signed up, and we'll be doing it later on anyway, just due to some commitments. You know, good luck, and we're looking forward to seeing the messaging there. But yeah, as I said, if everyone gets involved. You know, we are very grateful for obviously our major sponsor for the event as well, our big Bunnings, our crew at Bunnings, Mike and the team out there who we had on last night, which is you know, a big part of our foundation, Miller Leith, and there's a few others, O'Brien, obviously the work that we do with you guys now, King Chrome. Big fella, it's you know, it's just creating more awareness, education, resource, and support for everyone involved. Mental health conversation is not for those that are going through the challenge. We're all involved, and it's going to take all of us to win this fight. So it's you know, as I said, thanks for everyone for the support, the participation, and I think it has blown us out of the water. It's very humbling, and I know from Love Me Love You point of view, and from Knights of Suburbia crew, same thing. The point of view there is that it's a very humbling experience to see the amount of people get involved, and to celebrate just a little bit there, Russ, mate. We have finally just ticked over the $300,000 mark in the fundraising. So big round of applause to everyone, and keep carrying the messaging forward. And you know, people have still got 4 hours left if they want to continue riding. It's it's a bad, but it's all good. Do we appreciate it from us at Love Me Love You, mate, for you know, to you yourself, riggers, and the rest of the crew that do all the grunt work, do a lot of the grunt work to make Knights of Suburbia do its thing. You know, we're greatly appreciative of the support, because over the years there's been we're close to $300,000 or something that's been raised through the Knights of Suburbia partnership with Love Me Love You. So we're greatly appreciative, and we thank you very much. So thanks very much, mate.
No dramas, mate. It's a pleasure to be part of it, mate.
Good luck with it all, and remember, never alone.
Good on you, mate.
Enjoy.
Thanks, buddy. Catch you soon. Bye.